It is minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind is moving at 100 miles per hour. There is no sunlight, not reduced sunlight, not dim light, zero, complete, total, absolute darkness, broken only by the occasional flash of a storm front moving across the ice. In these conditions that would kill an exposed human being in under 2 minutes, something is moving. Thousands of somethings, a line of black and white shapes stretching as far as the darkness allows you to see, moving in a slow, deliberate procession across the ice. Not running from something, not being driven somewhere, moving with the quiet purposefulness of animals that know exactly where they are going and have accepted at some fundamental biological level exactly what it is going to cost them to get there. They have already been walking for days. They have 30 miles left. This is the emperor penguin. And before this video is over, you're going to understand that everything you thought you knew about this animal, the cute waddling, the heartwarming huddles, the charming documentary footage, was real, but it was only the surface. Underneath it is something far stranger, far more extreme, and far more impressive than the postcards ever showed you. There are 3 things about the emperor penguin that most people never hear. The first will change how you see the march. The second will change how you see the huddle. And the third, and the thing that happens after the chick hatches, is the part that nobody talks about. And it is the most remarkable of all. But to understand any of it, you need to start with a question that sounds simple and isn't. Why here? Antarctica is at its core a place that does not want life. Not inhospitable in the way that deserts are inhospitable, or high altitudes or deep ocean trenches. Those places are difficult. Antarctica is something closer to actively hostile, a continent that seems in every measurable way designed to end biological processes rather than support them. The interior receives less than 2 inches of precipitation per year, making it technically the driest desert on Earth. What little snow falls never melts. It compresses over centuries into ice that in some places reaches nearly 3 miles thick, a sheet of frozen water so heavy that the continent beneath it has been pushed down into the Earth's crust by the weight. If the ice melted tomorrow, Antarctica would slowly, over thousands of years, rise. Winter temperatures in the interior average around minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but temperature alone does not capture what winter in Antarctica actually means. The wind is the other variable. Katabatic winds, cold, dense air flowing down from the polar plateau toward the coast under the pull of gravity regularly exceeds 60 miles per hour across the breeding grounds of the emperor penguin. When wind chill is factored in, the effective temperature during storms drops to minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit or below. At that temperature, diesel fuel gels, metal becomes brittle. Exposed skin freezes in seconds, not minutes. The moisture in exhaled breath freezes before it has traveled more than a few inches from the face. This is where the emperor penguin breeds, not survives, breeds, raises young, stands still for 4 months in the dark while incubating an egg balanced on its feet. Every other species on the planet, every bird, every mammal, every complex organism that has managed to establish any presence in Antarctica either leaves for winter or hunkers down in some protected refuge and waits for conditions to improve. Migration, hibernation, shelter. These are the strategies life has developed for dealing with the worst seasons of the year. The emperor penguin does the opposite. It marches toward the worst conditions it will ever face at the worst time of year, carrying the most fragile thing it will ever be responsible for, And it does this not despite the cold, but because of it. The cold is not the obstacle. The cold is the plan. And understanding why requires understanding a piece of biology that most penguin documentaries never explain clearly. The timing is everything, and the timing is brutal. An emperor penguin egg takes 65 days to hatch. A chick takes another 5 to 6 months to develop enough to survive independently in the ocean. Add those numbers together and work backward from the Antarctic summer. The brief window of November through February when sea ice breaks up and the ocean fills with fish and krill and everything a young penguin needs to learn to hunt. And you arrive at a breeding start date of May or June. Antarctic winter, there is no flexibility in this calculation. Start later and the chick fledges too late into an ocean already emptying of prey. Start earlier and the sea ice isn't stable enough to support the colony. The window is specific, narrow, and it sits directly inside the worst season this continent produces. So the emperors march into it every year because the math demands it, and the math has been demanding it for millions of years. The march itself is 60 miles on average, 60 miles across sea ice and glacial surface on feet designed for swimming rather than walking, in darkness and wind and cold that the penguin's biology is equipped to handle, but that never stops being a physical cost. The journey takes between 1 and 3 weeks depending on conditions, ice quality, and the specific colony. They do not eat during this journey. They arrive at the breeding ground already running on reserves. Here is the first thing about the emperor penguin that most people don't know, and it matters more than almost anything else in this story. And they navigate in complete darkness by the stars, not approximately, precisely. Emperor penguins have been demonstrated in research studies to use stellar navigation, the position of stars relative to the celestial pole, to maintain direction during the march. They have been observed stopping during overcast periods and resuming only when the sky clears, as if waiting for the navigation system to come back online. In complete darkness, in featureless terrain, in conditions that make every direction look identical, emperor penguins find a specific patch of ice that contains no landmark any human observer could identify, and they go there, the same patch, year after year, with an accuracy that researchers describe as remarkable even after decades of studying it. They are not following each other, though they march in groups. The navigation is individual. Each bird knows where it is going. The group simply happens to be going to the same place. And when they arrive, the breeding ground looks like nothing. A flat expanse of ice, identical in every visible way to the ice they have been walking across for 2 weeks. No marker, no shelter, no feature. This is intentional. The breeding ground is chosen for its distance from the coast, far enough inland that ocean predators cannot reach it, stable enough that the ice will hold tens of thousands of penguins for months without breaking up. It offers no protection from the wind because there is no protection from the wind anywhere within 60 miles. It offers no warmth because there is no warmth anywhere in Antarctica in June. What it offers is time. Enough time on stable enough ice to raise a chick before summer comes. That is all, and that is enough. The colony assembles over a period of days, individual birds arriving from different directions, from different stretches of coastline, from feeding grounds that may have been hundreds of miles apart, converge on this unmarked patch of ice until tens of thousands of emperor penguins are standing in one place. The noise is extraordinary. Each penguin has a unique vocal signature, a specific call that is, to another emperor penguin, as distinctive as a face is to a human. in a colony of 20,000 birds in wind that makes human conversation impossible. At 3 feet, 2 emperor penguins can locate each other by voice alone with a reliability that has been measured and confirmed. The system works. It has to. The alternative, 2 birds in a colony of thousands unable to find each other, is a chick that doesn't get fed. But before any chick is fed, before any chick exists, there is the courtship. And the courtship in the middle of an Antarctic winter, in darkness, in minus 60-degree wind, looks almost surreal. Male emperor penguins display. They stretch to full height, tilt their heads back, and produce a low, resonant call that carries through the noise of the colony. Females move through the colony, evaluating. The process takes days. It involves physical posturing, mutual calling, a gradual narrowing of attention between 2 specific birds that ends in a pair bond that will last for this breeding season. Emperor penguins are not monogamous across their entire lives. Most pair bonds last a single season. The following year, the majority of birds will pair with different partners. This is not a failure of the system. It is the system in a colony where birds arrive from different directions at different times. Strict lifelong monogamy would reduce reproductive success. Serial monogamy, committing fully within a season, reassessing the following year, maximizes the number of successful pairings. It is, like almost everything about this animal, a solution that looks strange from the outside and makes complete sense from the inside. The egg arrives in May or June. A single egg, not 2, not a clutch. 1 egg, the size of a large grapefruit weighing around half a pound. The female has been building the resources for this egg for months, feeding intensively before the march, storing the energy reserves that the egg will cost her. She lays it standing up, and the egg must be transferred immediately to the male's feet, where it will rest in a brood pouch, a fold of warm, feathered skin above the feet, for the entire incubation period. The transfer takes seconds. In minus 60-degree temperatures, an egg that touches the ice for more than a few seconds begins to cool below the threshold for viable development. If it touches for long enough, the embryo dies. The entire journey, the 60-mile march, the weeks of fasting, the courtship, the energy cost of producing the egg ends in failure because of a moment of fumbled coordination between 2 birds trying to pass something the size of a grapefruit from one pair of feet to another while standing in hurricane force wind. Researchers who have studied this transfer describe it as one of the most tense moments in animal behavior they have ever observed. The birds are careful. They are deliberate. They take their time in a situation that does not allow for mistakes. Most transfers succeed, some don't. The ones that don't are simply over. There's no second egg. There's no backup. The female walks back to the ocean 60 miles, and the male stands in the colony alone, holding nothing in the dark. If the transfer succeeds, the female turns around and walks 60 miles back to the ocean. She will feed for 2 months, building reserves for the return journey and for the initial feeding of the chick when it hatches. The male stays. He will not eat again for over 100 days, 4 months. That is how long the male emperor penguin stands on the Antarctic ice in the dark, fasting, holding a single egg on his feet. Let the number sit. 115 days on average without food. During this period, he loses between 30 and 40% of his total body weight. His fat reserves deplete. His muscle mass begins to catabolize. His metabolic rate drops to the minimum necessary to sustain life and maintain the egg at incubation temperature around 95 degrees Fahrenheit in an environment that is 175 degrees colder than that. The physics of this are almost absurd. He is maintaining a pocket of 95-degree warmth inside his brood pouch while standing in minus 80-degree wind. The temperature differential he is managing with nothing but his own body is 175 degrees Fahrenheit continuously for 4 months. How? The answer is feathers, fat, and the huddle. And the huddle is the part that makes this survivable. Emperor penguin feathers are not like most bird feathers. They are small, dense, overlapping, and waterproof. There are roughly 15 feathers per square centimeter of skin, more than any other bird species. They trap a layer of air against the body that functions as insulation with a thermal efficiency comparable to the best synthetic materials humans have developed for extreme cold weather gear. The outer surface of a penguin standing in minus 80-degree wind is approximately 40 degrees Fahrenheit, cold but not catastrophically so. The skin beneath those feathers may be close to body temperature. The fat layer under the skin provides additional insulation and is the primary fuel reserve for the fast. But even with all of this, a single male standing alone in the worst Antarctic storm would lose heat faster than he could generate it. The math doesn't work for an individual, it works for a group. The huddle is the solution. Thousands of males pressed together into a dense mass so tight that individual movement is essentially impossible. The birds on the exterior of the huddle face inward, minimizing the surface area exposed to the wind. The birds in the interior of the huddle are insulated on all sides by the bodies of other birds. The temperature inside a fully formed emperor penguin huddle, measured by researchers with thermal sensors, can reach 70 degrees Fahrenheit or above, 150 degrees warmer than the air outside it. But the huddle is not static. This is the part that took researchers years to fully understand. The huddle moves not randomly, not chaotically. It moves in slow, coordinated waves, individual birds at the edge shifting inward by a fraction of an inch, creating a pressure wave that propagates through the entire mass, rotating birds from the cold exterior to the warm interior in a continuous self-organizing flow. There is no leader, no bird is directing the movement. It emerges from individual decisions, each bird moving slightly when the cold becomes sufficient, that collectively produce a group behavior precise enough that researchers have modeled it mathematically and found it to be thermally optimal. The huddle is a self-regulating heat engine built from 20,000 individual decisions made simultaneously, producing a collective result that no individual bird could achieve alone. It is one of the most remarkable examples of emergent collective behavior in the natural world. And it happens every winter in the dark, in the coldest place on Earth, because the alternative is death. This is a good moment to pause. If you're finding this as fascinating as I do, the biology, the extremes, the stories behind animals that most of us think we already understand, then consider subscribing. I'm just getting started on this channel and I post a new video every single week. Everyone goes this deep. It genuinely means a lot when someone new joins. So if this is the kind of content you want more of, one click is all it takes. Now back to the ice. 65 days into the fast, the egg hatches. The chick that emerges is covered in gray down, weighs around 11 ounces, and is immediately dependent on the male for warmth and food. The male has been fasting for over 2 months at this point. He is significantly depleted, but he has one more thing to give before the female returns. Crop milk. Emperor penguin males produce a secretion from the lining of their esophagus, a substance rich in protein and fat that functions similarly to the crop milk produced by some other bird species. It is not true milk, it contains no lactose, but it provides enough nutrition to keep a newly hatched chick alive for up to 2 weeks while the male waits for the female to return. This is the margin. The female times her return to roughly coincide with the hatching, but Antarctic travel is not precise and the margin is built into the male's biology. He can feed the chick without the female for a limited time. On reserves, he's been holding back through 100 days of starvation. When the female returned, she locates her partner and chick by voice. That unique call in a colony of tens of thousands in wind and takes over feeding. The male, now down to perhaps 60% of his starting weight, turns and begins the 60-mile walk back to the ocean. He has not eaten in over 100 days. He is walking on feet that have been standing on ice for 4 months. He is doing this on the caloric equivalent of near empty. Not all of them make it. The males that die on this final walk are the ones whose fat reserves ran out before the female returned, or who were pushed to the outer edge of the huddle more than their share, or who simply had slightly less to begin with. There is no dramatic cause of death. They slow down, they stop, the ice holds them. The ones that reach the ocean dive immediately and begin eating. They will spend weeks feeding before they return to take their turn guarding the growing chick. The cycle of exchanges, male to male, continues through the Antarctic spring. The chick grows fast. It has to. The window between hatching and fledging is fixed by the same brutal calendar that fixed everything else in this animal's life. By December, when the sea ice begins to break up and the ocean becomes accessible from the colony site, the chick must be large enough, developed enough, and capable enough to survive in open water. The parents push food into it continuously, each returning from feeding trips with stomachs full of partially digested fish and krill, regurgitating it directly into the chick's open beak. The chick's down is replaced by juvenile feathers, waterproof, dense, capable of handling the ocean over a period of weeks. The process is called molting, and during it, the chick cannot enter the water. Its juvenile feathers are not fully waterproof until the molt is complete. A chick that enters the ocean before its feathers are ready will become waterlogged, lose heat, and drown. The timing of the molt is controlled by day length. As Antarctic spring progresses and days lengthen, the chick's body responds to the increasing light with hormonal changes that trigger and accelerate the molt. The biological clock that governs this process has been calibrated over millions of years to ensure the molt completes just as the sea ice breaks and the ocean becomes navigable. There is no flexibility in this timing. The animal that is too early drowns. The animal that is too late starves when the ice breaks and the parents stop returning. The ones that survive are the ones whose internal clock was accurate. When the ice finally breaks up, the chicks, now fully feathered juveniles carrying nothing but the instincts and biology their parents transferred to them, enter the ocean for the first time. They have never swum before. They have never caught a fish. They have never navigated open water, avoided a leopard seal, or dived below the surface. Everything they need to know, they will learn in real time in an ocean that is actively trying to eat them with no parental guidance whatsoever. The parents by this point have left. Their obligation is complete. They are already miles away, feeding, recovering from a breeding season that cost each of them the equivalent of running a marathon every day for 4 months while eating nothing. The chicks are on their own. The survival rate for emperor penguin chicks in their first year is approximately 19%. 81% of chicks that successfully hatch and fledge do not survive their first 12 months in the ocean. Leopard seals, orcas, starvation during the learning period, the simply bad luck of being in the wrong current at the wrong time, the ocean takes most of them. The ones that survive reach sexual maturity at 5 to 6 years old. They will return to the same breeding colony where they were born, navigating back across the same ice to the same featureless patch, using the same stellar navigation their parents used before them. They will pair and fast and incubate and fast again and return to the ocean depleted and alive and do the whole thing the following year and the year after that. Emperor penguins live for 20 to 40 years in the wild. A 30-year-old emperor penguin has made this march 25 times, has stood in the dark fasting for 25 breeding seasons, has transferred 25 eggs in minus 60-degree wind, hoping each time that the transfer is clean, that the egg doesn't touch the ice, that the math works out one more time. The oldest emperor penguins ever recorded lived past 40 years, 40 winters, 40 marches, 40 100-day fasts in the dark. They do not experience this as extraordinary. They have no framework for measuring their own endurance. They simply do what the calendar demands, in the place the ice allows, in the conditions they were built for. There is something happening to that ice now that deserves to be said plainly. The sea ice that emperor penguins depend on, the platform stable enough to hold the colony, far enough from the coast to be safe, frozen long enough to get a chick from egg to fledgling, is changing. Satellite data shows that Antarctic sea ice extent has declined significantly in recent years, with record lows recorded in consecutive seasons. Some breeding sites have experienced years where the ice broke up before the chicks completed their molt. In those years, the chicks drowned, an entire breeding season at an entire colony site lost. Not because of a predator, not because of a disease, because the ice broke 3 weeks too early. The emperor penguin's entire survival strategy, the march, the fast, the huddle, the precise calendar, is built around the assumption that the ice behaves the way it has behaved for millions of years. The biology has no contingency for ice that breaks too early, because ice that broke too early was not a variable for millions of years. It is a variable now. Researchers estimate that if current trends continue, the majority of emperor penguin colonies could face unsustainable breeding failure by the end of this century. Not all of them. Some colonies in more stable areas of the Antarctic coast may persist, but the species that survived 5 mass extinctions, that built one of the most sophisticated cold weather survival systems in the animal kingdom, that has been marching into the Antarctic winter for longer than our species has existed, is now facing a threat its biology was never designed to handle. Not cold, warmth. The line of black and white shapes is still moving across the ice. It is still minus 80 degrees. The wind is still 100 miles per hour. There is still no light, and these birds are still walking. Not because they have no choice, not because they are driven by blind instinct towards something they don't understand, but because this march, this cold, this darkness is the price of a strategy that has worked for millions of years. They chose this place, they chose this season, they chose the worst conditions this planet produces, because the worst conditions this planet produces are the conditions under which their chicks survive. The egg balanced on the feet of a male standing in the dark, starving in a huddle of 20,000 other males doing the same thing. It is not a symbol of hardship. It is a symbol of precision. of an animal that read the terms of survival in one of the most extreme environments on Earth and said yes. Every winter, in the dark, in the cold, yes, the emperor penguin doesn't survive Antarctica despite the march. It survives because of it, and there's no animal on this planet that has committed more completely, more precisely, or more willingly to the cost of staying alive. And if you want to know about the animal that takes an equally extreme gamble, but does it underwater, alone, in complete darkness, at depths that collapse its lungs, that story is next week. This was Earth Wild Animal. Subscribe, one click every week.